First of all, I want to thank you all for being part of this discussion today. As the invitation says, is the beginning of the discussions about the existence of our political movements. But on the other hand, we are celebrating, this is the main thing, we are celebrating 26 years of voice, existence, and activism. And for that, I thought, since we have the situation with Corona, now that we seldom meet since the beginning of this year, we've been having difficulties in contacting people in our networks, but on the other side, we've seen that there are developments which are beyond our own reach, developments that are actually worse than what we think about. People are dying in asylum camps, people are being deported every day, people are dying in the Mediterranean, although they talk here of social distancing and trying to stay safe or healthy, others are actually not. And I thought that from the different aspects that we find within Germany, we should discuss also what we see about 26 years of the voice existence, what we see about 26 years of refugees and migrants standing together, standing as a community, standing in unity, fighting in the, as Osaren would put it, in the monster's belly. Yeah, and I thank you very much for being part of this discussion on Zoom, and definitely also on radio. The Voice Refugee Forum is inviting you, I mean, I would let you introduce yourself to be part of this series of discussion, but also to be part of this events that will take place from October. We are on the 2nd of October now. 3rd of October, we also have this radio, and until December this year. So we are going to be organizing town hall discussions. We are going to be organizing political actions also in commemoration of this 26 years of the voice existence. Before we actually go deep into what we're talking about, I would also try as much as possible on the second part to give a small introduction of what the Voice is all about, what the Voice has been doing. But for that, I would let you first introduce yourselves, how you want to introduce yourselves. This first discussion series is actually for us internal activists of the Voice, which is going to go external in the broadcasting. But again, we know each other in one way or the other. We've been working together. So I would let you introduce yourself the way you want the audience to see you represented. Thank you. Marwan.
Okay. At the beginning, my name is Umaru Dahiru, and I am here in Germany since 14th of January 2018, and I joined the movement on that was on December 2019, and since then it was not so easy at the beginning because I was not really knowing what was the movement was about, because someone introduced me for the refugees black box. And from there, I tried to understand how the movement was and how what was the really structure of the organization. And then I find it really interested because it's not only maybe about our own personal issues. We are trying maybe to have equal right and to understand also another people's problems, in general, refugees. Yeah.
Okay.
And then from
so
there,
I would leave it there for now because it's an introduction. We'll go detailed into your own perspective of how you got to know the movement. I just wanted the audience to understand who you are, okay, and how you came about to be part of the movement.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you. and from the North Rhine-Westphalia side. So just to add, Marwan is from Thuringen. Thuringen, that is
Gotha. From Gotha, I heard.
Kakoda?
From Gotha.
You're from Gotha? Marwan?
No, I'm from Jena.
From Jena.
From Jena. Ah, okay. I thought Gotha.
Yeah. No, I thought
Understood. Sorry.
I for Gotha, but I think he's from. I just made it broad to say Thuringen because he's networking with other activists from Thuringen, and he will be representing Thuringen today.
Okay.
Yeah. So North Rhine-Westphalia, you're next.
Okay, hallo zusammen. Ich bin die Erleben von der Karawane Wuppertal, aber auch zugleich von der Karawane Flüchtlingsfrauenbewegung, die es ja seit 2013 gibt. Und ich musste feststellen, wie schnell wieder ein Jahr vergangen ist, weil Voice Geburtstag, 26 Jahre Geburtstag jetzt in diesem Monat ist. Und ich freue mich, dass wir einfach jetzt gerade mal wieder Kontakt haben, visuell, weil es ist nicht einfach zu Corona-Zeiten einfach sich zu sehen, zu umarmen und so. Es fehlt jemand, das ist Osaren. Es sind aber viele Freunde, die mir fehlen. Aber ich glaube, heute ist ein guter Anfang, die Stille durchzubrechen.
Danke, Ellen.
Yeah, my name is Aras. I am as well from Wuppertal, as you can see. I met the Caravan Voice activist 2002 in Düsseldorf for the first time. And after knowing each other, we started with Elim and others to basically organize ourselves in the region. And since 2004, at least, we have regular, not only meetings, but activities here in Wuppertal. And at least there's a core of people constantly working on the issues that affect us, that interest us, that concerns us. It's our life, basically, what we are doing. It's not just something to be political or whatever. I don't like these words. I have to admit, what we do for ourselves and for our brothers, sisters, mothers, fathers, kids, whatever, for the humanity, basically. And that's the main issue. And I think this understanding is important to be continuously there, as Osaren and Bolo and others have been there.
Thank you very much, Aras. And to end the line of introduction, I would also say I'm Yufanyim Bolo, the main moderator now for this discussion. Hopefully, in the next times, I would moderate other discussions concerning 26 years of the Voice, concerning our political engagements, but also, as Aras said, concerning our day-to-day engagement that leads to support of our communities that we've been doing the last 26 years. So to go direct, we said the topic of today would be about fear, but we have to water it down to not just the fear of the unknown or the fear of danger, but the powerlessness in what we do. So 26 years of the Voice Refugee Forum, we're going to shed light on fear and also on the powerlessness to act against this fear, its causes and effects, and also the repercussions that come with it. Experiencing 26 years daily repression and persecution and the fight against them. We have topics that we would like to shed light on. If it's not in this discussion, it could also be in preceding discussions, like the roles of white German networks and civil organizations and the society at large in enhancing or reducing our powerlessness as activists to act, or in increasing our power as activists to act. We also would like to go deep or to shed light and go deep into the instrumentalization of state apparatus in the welcoming culture that actually was a propaganda. This welcoming culture, which is in German, Willkommenskultur, is since the 90s, but it became a strong propaganda in 2015 when Germany said it was opening its borders for millions of refugees to get in, and how Germans and the society should be welcoming. We're going to talk about that and how this propaganda destroyed and further isolated our movements, and it increased the racial discrimination and also really pushed up the deportation and the killings of migrants within Germany and out of the German borders in the European fortress Europe. So these are the things that we're going to try to talk about in this discussion today. And to give impetus to what I just said, I would just give a brief summary of what we would imagine The Voice to portray on its 26th anniversary in these months that are coming until the end of the year. 26 years of The Voice Refugee Forum. So I would just give a brief introduction. In this month of October 2020, The Voice Refugee Forum would celebrate its 26th anniversary. Through October to December 2020, we will organize virtual and real series of discussions, town hall meetings, and political actions to commemorate our generational resistance and political motivation and inspiration of refugee and migrant movements in Germany and beyond. So we are calling on everyone, our audience, those who are going to be reading on our website, which is www.thevoiceforum.org, to stay tuned and be part of the series of events that we are going to offer in the next weeks and months. I would want to quote myself in this, because I think when we're celebrating the 25th anniversary last year, I just felt like I should say something. And this is what I said last year, and this is what I'm going to say this year also, that 26 years is not 26 seconds, it's not 26 minutes, it's not 26 hours, it's not 26 days, it's not 26 weeks, it's not 26 months. It is a quarter of a century. It is a quarter of a century plus 1 year. So it's 25 years plus 1. Last year, I said it was a quarter of a century. This year, I would say 25 plus 1, which is 26. It's a generation of its time. Yeah, we have, in this generation, we have changed and give refugee not only the voice, but also a place in this society. We see refugee resistance today. It was because of the pillars and the fundamentals of the voice. This is what I also said last time. It's the first self-organized refugee movement and network in Germany, and if I don't want to exaggerate, in Europe. So where are we today? The results of our relentless focus on refugee community networking and solidarity with different activities in Jena and many other cities is evident in the breadth of refugee resistance all over Germany. From Baden-Württemberg to Bayern, from Hamburg to Sachsen, from Thüringen to Berlin and Bremen, amongst others. These blocks of refugee resistance continue to draw inspiration from the voice as refugees continue to empower themselves to resist the continued cruelty and inhumanity that defines the German asylum system. The continuity of our struggles and the inspiration that others draw from our unwavering commitment is testament to the legacies of the Voice Refugee Forum, which are worth celebrating 26 years. 26 years of the Voice Refugee Forum means 26 years of self-organization, of autonomous refugee struggles. It means relentless struggles against deportation, social exclusion, refugee lager, discrimination, criminalization, restriction of movements, police brutality. It means 26 years against family separation, against political prisoners, against colonial injustice, and against the total, or for the total rejection of paternalism. This has been a struggle based on solidarity. Our struggle has been based on solidarity. Solidarity not only between refugees, but also allies who reflect enough on their privileges while engaging with us to understand and to understand our community and structure. Yes, it is 26 years of solidarity, refugee autonomy, community and structural organization, consistent and active resistance against camps through revendications and manifestations, protests, and the enduring fight for freedom of movement and self-determination. Since 1998, we had a common struggle with the Caravan for the Rights of Refugees and Migrants. In 2017, the Refugee Black Box was created as the heritage of the struggle of the Voice Refugee Forum and of the Caravan for the Rights of Refugees and Migrants. Since then, refugees nationwide have taken to the concept and ideas of the Refugee Black Box to deconstruct, to unmask, and to unravel the sheer inhumanity of the European border regime championed by Germany. The cruel and callous asylum system in Germany that is a mockery of international protection for those seeking refuge. The barbarity of police brutality and the endemic institutional and societal racism that is pervasive in Germany. 26 years of the Voice means half a century plus one of impacting the political culture that we find ourselves in Germany and Europe. The fight against deportation had always been at the center of the Voice Refugee Forum. Just a moment. I think Aras is gone. I don't know how it happened, but maybe he will come back. So I will just continue. The fight against deportation had always been the center of the Voice political activism. Our 26 years of unwavering commitment to breaking the culture of deportation in Germany had many important steps. The Voice and the Caravan, Congress unite against deportation and social exclusion, which we had in 2000 and in the year 2000. We also had the initiation of the campaign, or the concept of deportation is the last ring of the slavery chain, and the break deportation culture. This was also one of the main campaigns that were carried out in Thüringen. We also have the break deportation and isolation network in Thüringen still existing now. And the last one, which was really strong, was the initiation of the Refugee Black Box Solidarity. That was done in 2017. I also see now that one of our main guests, the people from North Rhine-Westphalia, are not there. I don't know how we reach them again, but I will just try, if we take a short pause, I will try to see how to reach them. Yeah, okay. So like I said before, there was a technical breakdown from our Wuppertal North Rhine-Westphalia people. They are back now. When you when you got this breakdown, Aras, I was just talking about the different activities in a nutshell of what the Voice has been doing, what the Voice has put as a blueprint within this society, how the Voice has given the refugees and migrants not only a voice, but has given them a position. One of them is the Congress that we organized in the year 2000, Unite Against Deportation and Social Exclusion. That was done under the umbrella of the Caravan, but was mainly organized by the Voice in Jena. Another clear example was the 2014 campaign that we had with the concept of deportation is the last ring of the slavery chain, which really was pronounced all over Germany. And also we had the break deportation and isolation network in Thüringen, which is still ongoing now. And one of the main things that I think, even if we don't talk much about, especially with the Corona times now, is the campaign on the Refugee Black Box. yeah, of representing our fights with the black box. In the next 20, 30 years, this campaign is still going to continue, even if no one carries it. But I think this has been the initiating stamp of the voice of the work of the voice since 2017, that this campaign was initiated. So these were the different aspects in a nutshell of what the voice has really done. I mean, you have different examples in different places at different times. Ellen talked about also campaigns of the caravan women activists. I think you're also going to have a lot to talk about that. Now, with all these information that we have, we've also understood that the movement is not like it was 26 years ago. It's not even like it was 10 years ago. We are talking about the powerlessness, the incapability, the fear of old activists, but also of new arrivals. How can we put that on a scala now in the situation that we find ourselves in 2020 and are still talking about 26 years of voice engagement? Maybe the older activists from Northern Westphalia can shed a little bit of light on their own perception of how they see the 26 years of the voice and how they see engagements continuing, especially in the times that we find ourselves now.
Yes. Also er hat gesagt, Macht und Angst, die Aktivisten reinkommen, wie sehen wir das so?
Okay, also ich glaube 26 Jahre Voice, also das muss man sich erstmal vorstellen können. Was bedeutet 26 Jahre absoluter Widerstand, Kampf von Flüchtlingen und Migranten auf der Straße, Solidarisierung und die Stimme der Unterdrückten zu sein. Und das ist eine Geschichte, die, glaube ich, noch mehr erzählt werden muss, weil Voice ist für mich die Blackbox, die Geschichte vom Voice. Und ich glaube, was ich eben mit Ohnmacht gemeint habe, ich weiß nicht, ob der Freund das alles versteht, ist, dass wir eigentlich die Ohnmacht in der Hinsicht auffangen müssen, weil die Gesellschaft in einer Ohnmacht verfallen ist und uns dafür schlägt, uns dafür ausgrenzt, weil wir immer noch sagen, wir sind nicht ohnmächtig, im Gegenteil, wir passen auf, dass ihr nicht noch mehr zerstört, noch mehr kaputt macht. Und das ist ein harter Kampf, das erfordert absolute Energie, das erwartet Empathie zu Menschen, die wir in unseren Ländern zurückgelassen haben und nicht mal hier sind, dass wir ihren Kampf auch führen. Und der ist sehr schwer. Und ich glaube, dass 2015 diese Willkommenskultur das alles mit eingeplant hat und bereits die Menschen mit der Willkommenskultur isoliert hat. Also schon praktisch mit dem Schild Merkel, Deutschland, willkommen reingekommen sind, sind sie bereits isoliert worden. Ich glaube, der Begriff Willkommenskultur erinnert mich so ein bisschen auf die Geschichte der Migranten in den 60er Jahren hier in Deutschland. Da hieß es, Gast ist ja auch was Positives, ne? Mhm. Dass hinter diesem Gastbegriff eine absolute Ausbeutung und Ausgrenzung besteht, hat sich in den letzten 55 Jahren gezeigt. Das heißt, wenn die Willkommenskultur von unseren Freunden, Brüdern und Schwestern nicht verstanden wird, werden sie nach 50 Jahren feststellen, dass es das Gleiche ist wie damals Gastarbeiter, Gast, weil nach 3 Tagen hört Gastsein auf und die Willkommenkultur in Deutschland hat bereits nach 4, 5 Monaten aufgehört. Da hat der Albtraum begonnen. Das ist eigentlich der Ist-Zustand. Sehr ähnliche Parallelen zu 50 Jahren davor. Und wenn wir die Menschen sind, die den Kolonialismus erleben, müssen wir diese Geschichte wirklich verstehen, dass es Wurzeln hat, dass diese weiße Dominanz, diese Politik eigentlich nichts Gutes mit uns meint. Und ich glaube, Voice ist der Duden für den Kampf auf die Straße aus meiner Sicht. Und wir haben sehr viel zu sagen. Und ich habe vom Voice sehr viel gelernt. Ich habe vom Voice die Geschwisterlichkeit dieser Welt gespürt und gelebt. Und ich lebe sie immer noch. Und der Begriff Angst, jetzt habe ich Angst, weil ich nicht in der Community bin, weil die Community so zerstreut worden ist. Aber diese 24, 25 Jahre Karawane mit Voice zusammen, ich habe gar keine Angst gehabt, weil es ist eine große Community gewesen und es ist Liebe. Also die Community hat Liebe gegeben, wir haben Essen geteilt, wir haben Gespräche miteinander geführt, wir waren zusammen, egal ob Thüringen, Wuppertal oder so. Ich wusste zum Beispiel, was Mbolo denkt oder Mbolo weiß, was Wuppertal denkt, wenn es darum geht. Solidarität, Kampf, unsere Menschenrechte. Nicht die Menschenrechte der Genfer Konvention, sondern unsere Menschenrechte. Und diese Verbundenheit, das hat Karawane und Voice gelebt und lebt sie noch. Aber ich glaube, die Angst, die jetzt da ist, das ist nicht die Angst, die wir meinen. Die Flüchtlinge haben Angst. Sie haben Angst vor der Abschiebung. Ich muss ehrlich sagen, ich habe Angst, dass die Flüchtlinge nicht sich trauen zu sagen, hey, ich bin schon als Unterdrückter auf die Welt gekommen, was habe ich noch zu verlieren? Und dieses müssen wir zurückgeben. Bosaran hat immer gesagt, wir müssen immer sagen, wer wir sind, woher wir kommen und was wir wollen. Und diese 3 Punkte müssen wir diskutieren miteinander wieder. Die Angst, 25 Jahre lang hatte ich nicht, aber jetzt habe ich Angst, weil die Willkommenskultur den Kopf verdreht bei Freunden, Menschen, Brüdern, Schwestern, die kommen.
Danke, Ellen, für diesen kurzen und starken Beitrag. Ich weiß nicht, ob Aras das kurz übersetzen soll oder so eine kurze Fassung, oder wir können einfach, also die Zuschauer und Zuhörer, die werden auch verstehen. Ja? Also, wir machen das immer, dass Leute auch die Sprache sprechen, die am besten können. Also ist nicht das Problem. So, we heard from Ellen, but also I think if we could hear from Brother Aras, if he could give a summary, or he can just add to what Sister Ellen said about the fear and also the powerlessness that we find ourselves inside, not because we are afraid, not because we are powerless, but because we see how the fundaments of what we build our movements upon are coming up, that even the voice that we gave to refugees and migrants is slowly being pulled down. Brother Aras.
I tried first, I didn't make any notes. And maybe I'm not used to translate such long sentences anymore. But I try to give a short, maybe summary if possible.
Yeah.
Basically, Ellen said that the welcome culture, which you mentioned as well in the introduction, is a word which is too nice, basically, for what it really is. And it reminds her of the word guests, because the migrants who were brought to Germany after the Second World War to build up the country, because they didn't have enough workforce, labor force, they called them guest workers. And these guest workers were basically still seen as guests 50 years later. And it shows the problem of exclusion in a society, racist society. And if she looks at the welcome culture, and if people do not see the parallels between these two words and these two politics, then 50 years later, maybe they wake up and see still they are living excluded, oppressed, and still not part of the society where they are locally.
Yeah.
And she says maybe the problem of the powerlessness and the fear or the powerlessness is as well because she says we might not have changed much about, or our understanding might not have changed much about colonialism, about exploitation, about exclusion, racism. But since the 2015, something has, since 2015, when the welcome culture started, something has changed. People around us have thought there is a real change. And even the refugees who were basically made blind by this, let's say, propaganda or nice pictures or nice words of democracy and human rights and refugee support, they already on the way expected something else. And when they came here and we talked about the situation, they couldn't put our words to the reality, and they said, this is not what you are telling about the society here. But after a few months, we saw that this welcome culture soon turned into a basically culture of rejection, culture of exclusion, culture of criminalization. And now I think, now I add my own words because I don't know if I can continue and tell everything what Aiden had said.
Yeah.
I think what we see now, and this is maybe, I wouldn't say this is something is unbelievable for me or it leads to frustration. It's just facts that today I think more deportation, more criminalization, more racism is existing in Germany than maybe 10, 15 years ago. In 2012, 13, 14, I would have said this is changing positively because of us. But nowadays we are there, but still after 2015, it's at least my personal feeling, the situation has been worsened a lot. Racism is just on the surface, it's not hidden anymore. It's openly spoken out. And racists are seen every day, not only on the streets, but as well in TV shows, whatever. And you don't need to discover which police is racist or not. The entire structure is racist, we know that. But they openly say things which were not allowed in this space, at least publicly, because of political correctness. Now, all the racists have no fear to say what they say. And I think maybe you could call it frustration rather than, or anger, I would say is better. My anger is that still we, and I don't, if I say we I just don't mean we for here, but generally as oppressed people, I think most of us still believe that this system is going to rescue us, is going to help us. And we still believe maybe that there is some exit to a better world through this system. And I think, at least my conviction is it's not. The question is what we do to basically change it. And I think we don't need to discuss about very big philosophical issues, how we do it in the next society. I think it starts from us, how we live with each other, how we respect each other, how we care about each other. And this has been very present, at least through some activists of the Voice Caravan for a long time. And these activists were the backbone of the movement. And ideologically, we didn't have to read books to understand what we are doing. We just had to basically fight every day in the small steps to find practical solution for our brothers, sisters, whatever, you know? And just decide what is right in this situation to defend someone's right. And don't be experts on laws, don't be experts on philosophical theories or so on. It's important to know these things, but it's not everything. Because I have the feeling that if you look at the political landscape today, it's my feeling that a lot of young migrants, children of refugees, are basically reading so much theories, but the connection to their mothers, parents, brothers, sisters who are oppressed is lost. They don't care about each other. And I think this was the main issue or the main strength of the caravan or the voice and the activists. Solidarity means that you're available for each other every day. And if you don't hear from another, just call each other. I know we have changed a lot. Bolo has changed, Aras has changed, Elam has changed, we are older. But maybe we have responsibilities as well that consume our time, consume our energy. Maybe we don't have much energy as we had when we were 20, 30 or 40. And maybe not only the physical strength is not there anymore, but as well the mental strength to accept everything. And another word, if it comes to anger, I don't want to say fear, anger, it's about ourselves. And I felt it very strongly, which made me at least personally tired, is that we see the same cycle again and again and again. You know, how many times did we, people now being in this meeting, did we go to lagers? How many times did we started to organize meetings because of a police attack? How many times did we start to organize things because of deportation? And I had the feeling that we are always starting newly, but not on a higher level. We were doing the same thing, but many people were rescued. We were rescued as well, or people who had the power to do that. But at the end, people are not there anymore. We are not there anymore. And I don't want to blame anyone. It's just a question for ourselves. We have to understand how we could still be there, and each time at least learn from the experience of the past and say, okay, next time we do it a little bit better. And I think maybe it was lack of time because many things were there to do. Maybe it was because lack of capacities, but this is the main question we have to answer in the future. And I'm not afraid or feel powerlessness. I just think that we should overcome our egos, not only as Aras, as Elim, as Mbolo, everyone, and this is the main issue. And then do small, but as well, still do not lose the connection to the ground, to the people who are affected. And unfortunately, there are more people affected today than 10 years ago, even in Germany. There are more deportation in our city going on, in our surrounding, in our Bundesland in Germany. Yesterday I had, or 2 days ago, I had a talk with someone from Jena. We don't know what is going on in the lager because we don't have connections to the lagers. So maybe this is as well something we could blame ourselves because we could not bear anymore the misery we saw in the lagers. How many people did we see dead, living but dead, you know? So sometimes you don't have the power to, maybe this is powerlessness. I couldn't see anymore the misery in the lagers. You know, this is something I have to say, yeah, I was powerless. I couldn't bear this anymore and write again about these, barbarity in the lagers, which is not because of refugees, but because of the system is creating barbarity. How many days can you look at the news and say, see people dying in the Mediterranean? And we know these are not the only people. Behind Mediterranean, on the continents, Asia and Africa, are more people dying on the way to there. Many are dying even in the countries. So this is powerlessness, but I was not confronted with that. I was confronted with the people in the lager. And I think maybe this is now the final point. because we are meeting as well because the 26th years anniversary of Voice. What Voice did was inspire people and to give them energy. When someone like Sunny, like Mbolo, like Ostaran, like Gaston Igual at that time were alone, basically in a society and saying, I don't accept this. We are going to break the Residenzpflicht, deportation, and no matter what you say, we have the power to defend our rights at least. And this power, this inspiration, and the spontaneous actions were powerful for others as well. To say, okay, not everyone accepts this barbarity. And I think this is the energy of the Voice which accompanied us, and that's why we are still here. Otherwise, we wouldn't have been here. So we should admire the energy of people who rise up and raise their voice. And hopefully more people will do it in the future. And it's our duty, I think, to continue this history and tell it to the people, and if necessary, to go out again.
Okay.
Thank you for long listening to me for a long time.
I think it was a explanatory time you had, and I really enjoyed it also. And it fits perfect because you said something like 12 years ago, 15 years ago, you would have seen it differently. We have a young brother who actually introduced himself as knowing the Voice or knowing the movement in 2019. Yeah, in you said December 2019, right? Yeah. So I would like to also hear from you after all the negative aspects, but also with empowering endings of what we've said. How did you come to know the movement, and how do you see the movement as a young activist?
I was not living here in Vienna. I was living in Rudolstadt.
In Rudolstadt?
Yeah, I was living in Rudolstadt.
Okay.
Then I moved from Rudolstadt to Jena. When I arrived here in Jena, I was trying to have contact with some African brothers here in Jena. If there's any African community, then I discussed with one of the guys, and he said there is one refugees black box. Then he introduced to me there. Then I tried to discuss with them because to understand really what was the
objectives, the aims of the network, yeah.
The African community and how what is the structure, what is really going on to understand, because I can't only engage in something that I don't really understand how things are going. Then he introduced me to Uzaren, then we discussed after discussing with Uzaren, he gave me everything in details. He gave me some documents that I have to pass through to retrieve and understand how the movement are. And then he introduced me also to the other people that were around. Then from there, I really understand that the movement, it is to help every African that is living here in Germany, for example, try to understand our problem. If someone, he or she, if they are in difficulties, then we can maybe help each other, and then maybe try to tell people that we are here, then to try to express ourselves, for example. Yeah.
So what is your present situation now? How are you connecting? Because definitely, Brother Aras said there is something going on in Jena. I also read it on email about how migrants or refugees are being treated in the asylum camps and things like that. But one of the issues that we have now is that we have less context to, the older activists. Yeah, we have less contact to these laggers than we had before. So, although we were faced with the situation in front of us, and we had to fight for this situation because we're part of it also. Now somehow we are out of it, and we hoped that young people could continue with this connection with our experiences. Something is happening in Jena now.
Okay.
We are reading about it. We know less about it. How you are from Jena? How do you see it? How do you work with this other people within the community, the refugee community there?
Okay, talking about the past tense, for example, here in Jena, we are trying to organize maybe young generation movement here in Thuringen. Not only here in Jena, but in Thuringen here. Then we moved from one city to another to create event day in the cities, for example, because we realized that when we invite people only from another cities to Jena to come, then the thing that they are only maybe the movement is only maybe for the people who are living in Jena. Then we try now in that, then we discuss about. Then we really understand that the best way to do it is to go where the lager is. Then we should discuss the problem there, and then try to show the people that we know all what is going on, and then they have to be careful, because that we already know what are going on in the lagers, and then we are observing them from far distance, for example. Then for example, we were in the city of Weimar. We also have one person who represents the black box in Weimar, even in Gotha, in Meiningen, in Isarstadt, also in Rudolstadt, also in many cities here in Thuringen. We have someone who is representing the black box. If there is anything going on, they will inform us.
Yeah, but you told me, for example, because I think this is important that you make mention of your different visits. When we're talking outside of this discussion, you told me that you were supposed to visit some activists in a lager, but you were not allowed to get inside because of Corona. So actually, Corona is being used to isolate the people, but at the same time being used to block activism from outside.
Yeah, then in that point of Corona, for example, they use Corona maybe to isolate them. Not even, for example, to go out also is a problem for them. It's not maybe about isolating them not to maybe meet some activists. For their own they are not allowed to go outside maybe for a long time. For example, they will tell them, okay, if you go out, maybe you only go out for shopping and to maybe to walk maybe 1 hour or 2 hours before coming back. If not, maybe they will write a report and send it to the Ausländer Bureau. Yeah.
So we come back now, for example, because one of the main things, although it was explained also by Brother Aras and Sister Elim, that the fear is not about we being afraid. The fear is about the powerlessness that we have, and that things would not be the same, or things would even be worse. I mean, Aras said that 15 years ago, it was even better than now. And you talk of, because this is where I want us to come, not that we are afraid of ourselves or that we're afraid ourselves, but the fear that some activists have now also impedes them to resist the different persecutions that are going. Corona, for example, is one. You're afraid of your health, and the authorities give you more fear, saying that you only have a short time to go to the city when you're actually supposed to get protection from Germany, right? They put you in an asylum lager, blocks you, and then prevents you from going out, instilling fear in you that they are going to send a report to the alien office, yeah, the foreign Ausländer Behörde, as you put it. How do you think these refugees can overcome this fear? What can we do? How do we use 26 years of the voice to implement them, to motivate and inspire them, yeah, about what they can do?
Just to inform them that they are free to do what they want. And then the main thing about concerning fear, for example, it is that the people did not have courage to speak what really is going on, because they will maybe say, okay, if we say some, if you question them, they will be afraid, because they will not have, they will not like that. Maybe if they say something wrong, then they will maybe have some more problems, because they said they already have problem. Then anything concerning their own situation, they will be suffering, but they are afraid to tell you that they are suffering. They will just maybe they will say, okay, we have to be quiet, and then maybe something will change. We don't have to do something that we don't have to maybe shout or maybe to manifest that something is going wrong here. Maybe if we do it like this, then they will take our names, then send it to the Ausländer Bureau. Then after, when we go to renew our document, they will not renew our document. Then they will maybe always give us a white paper that we have to leave Germany.
So coming back, I mean, the discussion is open now. Whoever wants to say something can do. I would just like to give the 2 points that I made in announcing or introducing the discussion. The first one is based on the welcome culture, the Willkommenskultur. We've seen, like Sister Ellen said, a lot of people with whom we're working got to believe that through the Willkommenskultur, they can depend on the system, yeah, to give positive remedies or positive impact on refugee situations. Yeah, we are talking of white German organizations. We are talking of migrant organizations that lean on the state and depend on the system and believe in the system. We are talking of refugees and migrant activists that even know the situations in the Heim, but are also being offered jobs to be security guards in the same Heims that they were. We are talking of €1 job people. Yeah, all these are part of the system, system's propaganda to say we are open, we give jobs and all the things. The second thing is also the instrumentalization of the different state apparatus, like the police, the judge, the courts, the laws that are being implemented and things like that. These are all the aspects that are being used to instill fear, but also to make us powerless in countering whatever persecution, whatever oppression that they have on us. Like Brother Aras said also, we were confronted and we are still confronted with the abuses in front of us. We are confronted, we are talking about racial profiling. We are talking about racial discrimination in different places, job or in the asylum lagers. We are talking about the killings by the police on the streets. We are talking about the Mediterranean deaths, but we are not talking about the death of the people, which is even more in the continent where they come from. Yeah, so these are the things also that also would make me understand, or would make me want to understand, that if I look at the future and look behind me, I would prefer the agonies that I have not faced, that I would face, than the agonies that I faced before, because nobody is talking about it. Yeah, so how do we do this? How do we make it possible? Yeah, I see your hand up, Aras.
Maybe I just want to add some words, if you allow me, Mbolo.
Go ahead.
I think when we talked, we said there is no difference between the time 10, 12 years ago, or even the difference might be, because I don't know the objective numbers. There are no numbers on police brutality. There are no statistics about how many people die in the Mediterranean. We only know of those who die there. We don't know really how many people are tortured, killed wherever in Libya or wherever, you know? So, but I think the main difference we can say is not the objective truth outside or what is really going on, is at least in ourselves. And if we look at ourselves, what was the difference? I start by myself, simply not to be an ego, but just because I can understand, I think, why. Is that I felt securer or safer 15 years ago, so in 2005, on a small caravan tour in North Rhine-Westphalia than I do today, now in this room, in a virtual conference. I felt safer in 2007 on the caravan tour with my friends in the bus, traveling around Germany, going from lager to lager, going from places where people like Domenico Maggio and others have been killed. I felt safer because I was with friends. I was with friends who were at least on my side and who understood the system, and we could express our anger, and we could express what we do not want, and we could express what we want together, not alone as others. Maybe the hopelessness or this powerlessness comes because we are ourselves isolated today, independent of what is outside of us. This is the main issue I think we should talk about it. So what is, you know, in this society they try to say this is an individual society and people are cared of, but what is individuality and what is humanity? And this is, I think, simple questions we have to answer. Is someone who is maybe hungry, I was hungry when I was a child, I was in the mountains with my sister and my mother, and we were afraid if we could survive the night, you know? But I was happy because I knew what is going outside. I knew with who I am. But I may be alone if I'm sitting alone here to the night with Allem and discussing about what is happening in Zool. And we are not bound to do, we are not, how to say, imprisoned, but we don't do anything because we know it's a hard work to do this. Now we have to go to Thuringia because in Zool people are maltreated. We read what they write, we read what they do, but then we would have to break down with everything here and say, we go there. So it starts with ourselves. You know, the smallest thing would be we write about it. But maybe we are angry as well, and we lost too much energy in discussing with people who were around us. I would say whitewashed organizations, doesn't matter if it's German, if it's migrant organization, people who are whitewashed or capitalized or brainwashed by the capitalist system, you know, and their ideology. So I do not want to talk to these people anymore. I think our main issue should be to talk to each other and see what we can do to empower each other. This should be the main issue. And do not care about others, what they are doing, about the state, and only point at them. Point at ourselves. How do we want to live together? Doesn't matter where we are.
Okay, thank you, Aras. I will give Marwan the word. Then, let him say something. I will come back to your point because I think it's very interesting, and I hope that we can take this to another level because with what you just introduced, there are also different corners that we can bring out, which were clearly said by you. But let Marwan say something if he has.
Okay, in this case, to empower each other, then to empower each other, I think we'll have to first understand each other. Because if there's no understanding each other, then we can't empower each other because we don't really know our own problem. And we have to understand our own problem. From there now, we'll start sharing our own experience of life, what we have passed and how we can try to avoid it, not to do maybe the same error that we did in the past. Because it is like the error is repeating years and years, because maybe there will be a movement, you will see many people after maybe maybe 1 year, the same people will not be there again. And maybe to try maybe to be in a level that the people who are there, or that they will be always the same people. Not maybe today there will be maybe for example 40 people, then tomorrow it will be maybe 2 people, then after tomorrow it means at the beginning there's I think I don't really know which how am I going to explain it. Lacking of word.
No, it's okay. I think I understand what you're trying to say about it. Definitely, there should be this connection of continuity, right?
Yeah.
Those who were there before and those who are going to continue after the older ones leave. Say it so.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, Ellen, I don't know if you have, ich weiß nicht, ob du noch was zu ergänzen hast. Ja, es geht darum, wie können wir unsere Ohnmacht verstehen und was können wir dagegen machen, so in die Richtung. Ob wir uns, wie Aras so gesagt hat, ob wir uns an uns selbst konzentrieren sollen oder versuchen, irgendwie nachzudenken oder zu reflektieren, ob das mit anderen zu tun hat.
Okay, ich versuche kurze Sätze, damit alles übersetzt. Ich mache nicht denselben Fehler wieder. Also ich habe ja immer ein sehr positives Denken, auch wenn ich sehe, dass das Schiff wirklich mal ein bisschen im Sand hängt.
She says she has usually a very positive attitude, or you could say optimism, although sometimes she has the feeling the ship is on the sand and cannot move forward.
Aber dieses Schiff hat eine Geschichte und dieses Schiff kann man wirklich noch bewegen, das sehe ich.
But the ship has a history or has a past, and she knows that this ship can be moved, is still not static, can move if it wants.
Es kommt darauf an, was wir wirklich wollen. Ne? Das müssen wir definieren.
The important thing is to define what we want.
Das andere ist, ich habe gestern die Europakönigin van der Leyen gehört.
She listened yesterday to the King of Europe, Mrs. van der Leyen.
Sie hat einen neuen Begriff ins Spiel gebracht.
She defined a new word or terminology.
Sie hat gesagt, wir machen jetzt einen frischen Gang.
She said we make a new approach with respect to refugee, I think, policy, it was said.
Sie wollen ja die europäische Lösung für die Flüchtlingssituation klären und das soll jetzt frisch werden.
They want to clarify they want to define a new approach, a European solution for the refugees, and this should be very fresh. I don't know, new, fresh. How do you think this translated? New.
Yeah.
Nein, frisch.
New. Yeah.
Frische Bananen, alte Bananen, also
Ja.
irgendwie frisch, schön frisch. Und da habe ich gemerkt, ich habe gesagt, boah Frau, ne? Die Karawane und The Boys haben, ich weiß nicht vor wie vielen Jahren, also wir haben ja eine Geschichte, die geht über 26 Jahre oder 24 Jahre, also deswegen weiß ich nicht, wann wir das gesagt haben. Krieg gegen Migration. Also wir sind im Krieg.
And she said yesterday to herself, and she doesn't know when we said this, also openly said, there is a war on migration. And now she's talking about a new approach. But what kind of solution? Because there's war on migration, and this is something we know for years.
So, das heißt, sie haben die Länder schon zerstört, auf dem Weg haben sie getötet, im Mittelmeer haben sie getötet, dann sind wir in Thüringen, in den Lagern, da wird auch getötet, auf der Straße wird getötet. Und da muss man sich die Frage stellen, was erwarte ich denn von diesem Krieg der Tötung überall, wo wir sind? Wie definiere ich mich eigentlich mit dieser Realität?
She says they have destroyed or killed us in our countries of origin, on the way to Europe, in the Mediterranean, at the borders, in the lagers, on the street. So me as a refugee have to have the duty to define what do I want in this war, which is against me.
Wenn ich in die Flüchtlingslager gehe, ich gehe ja in die, ne? Ich sehe ja. Und wenn die Menschen, egal woher sie kommen, mir sagen, ich verstehe das nicht, Deutschland ist ein demokratisches Land, dann sage ich, nö, es ist Krieg, wach auf.
She says when she goes to Lager and talks to people independent of where they come from, and they tell her, this is a democratic country, I have rights. She says, no, it's not. Wake up, this is a war.
Wie kann ich in einem Land von Demokratie sprechen, welches seine eigenen Bürger tötet durch Armut, Hartz IV und das und sagen, das ist ein demokratisches Land?
How can I basically speak of democracy when people, citizens of their own country or society, are being pushed into poverty and dying or starving?
Und ich komme als Migrant, als Flüchtling und will Demokratie, da stimmt was nicht. Meine Tendenz ist, den Menschen zu sagen, herzlich willkommen im Krieg. Du musst jetzt definieren, was du möchtest. Aufenthalt. 3 Jahre später sehen wir uns, hast du nicht. 6 Jahre später, wenn du es schaffst, bist du abgeschoben, wenn du überlebt hast. Überleg dir das.
She said her approach is now to be very honest and very direct. If someone talks about democracy and human rights, say, wake up, this is war. And if you want your residence permit, then of course, in 3 years we might talk to each other again if you have it. In 6 years, maybe you are not here anymore. So please decide yourself what you want to do to survive.
Ich begegne diesen Menschen nach 5, 6 Monaten und die sagen, ich habe das Ganze nicht verstanden, was ist hier los? Und da fängt die Diskussion an.
Usually after 5 to 6 months, she meets again the people and they say, I have not understood everything here. Something is going wrong in the wrong direction. So let us start from the beginning.
Und da fängt das Problem von uns an, dass wir nicht mehr den Aufruf machen können, dass Organisierung wirklich sehr wichtig ist und der Kampf für die Rechte sehr wichtig ist, weil wir sind selber sehr klein in der Gruppe und wir wissen nicht, wie viel Kraft wir haben, das zu stemmen. Und das ist das Problem.
And where the problem starts with us, or with ourselves, the activists, or whatever you might call it. This was an addition from the translator. The problem starts with us because we are not maybe as strong as earlier, or not as clear as in the past to say, let's start to organize ourselves to how we can survive, how we can resist. And because we are maybe isolated, we are small, we are not as many as numbers. So this is our problem then, that we are not there to call for resistance.
Und warum ich so viel Kraft und noch den Glauben habe, ist, als wir vor einem Jahr in Hamburg mit den Frauen zusammengekommen sind. Da waren ja 130 Frauen wieder in ganz Deutschland ja dort in Hamburg auf diesen Treffen.
And she says, why I never lose my hope or my strength is, for example, last year when we called for the women refugee conference in Hamburg, over 130 people came to the conference.
Und ich muss ehrlich sagen, in den Gesprächen mit den Frauen haben wir klar und deutlich geklärt, wir müssen es erstmal schaffen, dass wir Dublin überleben.
And in the talks, in the discussion with the women, we had the consensus that we have first to find out how we survive Dublin.
Wir müssen versuchen und überleben, dass der Rassismus an uns so mal ein bisschen locker vorbeigeht. Also nicht ganz wird der weggehen, aber ein bisschen locker weggeht.
We have to find out a way how we can survive from racism and let it pass from us.
Und dann müssen wir sagen, wie kann es denn sein, dass wir Überlebende sind und uns die Rechte wegnehmen lassen?
And how can it be that we are survivors, but at the same time we let people take our rights?
Und die ersten Punkte, Dublin überleben oder den Rassismus ein bisschen seichter an uns vorbeigehen lassen, bedeutet nicht, dass wir das ignorieren, sondern wie stellen wir uns diesen Punkten mit unserer gesamten Transparenz und sagen, nein, es reicht.
So it doesn't mean that we have somehow to hide and see how it goes and pass by, but the question is how we organize together and stay by each other and say no, enough is enough.
Und ich muss ehrlich sagen, das ist eine Kraft von den Frauen ausgegangen. Sie haben gesagt, wir haben eigentlich die gesamte Gewalt erlebt. Man kann uns eigentlich nicht noch mehr wehtun. Wir haben nichts zu verlieren und wir schreien das heraus, was sie mit uns machen.
And there was a power from the participants in the conference of the women, and they said, we have enough power, we have seen so many things, so it cannot be worse. And therefore we can be strong and come together and withstand.
Und wir sind in einer Diskussion nur hängen geblieben und die haben wir leider nicht fortgeführt, weil wir das übliche Problem haben. Uns war klar, dass wir nicht wie 20 Jahre vorher in einen Bus einsteigen und die ganzen Lager abfahren. Die Kraft haben wir nicht mehr. Wir hätten Methoden finden müssen, wie jetzt zum Beispiel über Internet, ne, Kommunikation aufrechtzuerhalten. Die Einsamkeit zu durchbrechen, weil die Einsamkeit ist das Schlimmste, was unserer Bewegung wehtut. Wenn man einsam ist, hat man nicht die Kraft, den Kampf weiterzuführen. Das ist das Problem.
And the problem we had was after the conference that we could not jump into the bus like 15 years ago or 20 years ago and make a tour and be there where the people are. And we didn't find a solution for communicating with each other. What we are doing today is basically an approach which we didn't do last year. We didn't know it, but she thinks it's very important to overcome solitude, isolation. So the new means of communication are important because the isolation destroys us, destroys and weakens us, and we have to find ways how we can communicate, how we can break the isolation, the individual isolation, although or accepting that we are maybe the old activists, not as powerful as we were physically 20 years ago.
Und warum ich Hoffnung habe,
and why she still has hopes,
weil ich weiß, sie bauen im Moment an Gesetzen und Paragraphen, da wird es den ganzen Flüchtlingen und Migranten nichts mehr übrig bleiben, wirklich auf die Straße zu gehen.
And what increases her hope is that they are at the moment trying to define new laws and new Verordnungen or new laws to basically limiting the space for refugees and migrants and follow the consequences that refugees and migrants would not have any alternative except organizing themselves.
Und ich glaube, wer glaubt, dass er in seinem Lager, in seinem Zimmer sitzt und es wird an ihm vorbeigehen, der irrt sich. Auf der Straße, im gemeinsamen Kampf kann man ihn nicht wegnehmen, aber in dem Zimmer alleine wird er abgeholt.
And she says, who
Punkt.
believes that he will survive by sitting in their own room and hoping that he will survive, he's wrong. The solution or the solution or the hope is that people are on the street together fighting and withstanding. Those people will survive, but not those who are in the darkness in their own room and are then taken away nights. They cannot take you away if you're on the street.
Das ist meine Hoffnung und ich weiß es.
It's her hope, and she strongly is believing this and convinced about that. You are mute, Bolo.
So,
Your microphone is mute. You have to switch it on.
Ich danke dir, Elem. Und,
you know, there's a button.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Aras, I cannot hear you, but it's fine. No, I was saying that I thank you, Ellen, for such a clear-cut statement that you made. I think it's very important and interesting also from the aspects or the different corners that you came from. I will just make a summary because I think time is our limiting factor now. Yeah, I will start with the youngest of us all. I mean, he was clear when he said the consistency, continuity is one of the main issue. Yeah, and he said that after Brother Aras, but Brother Aras made it clear that we should concentrate on ourselves. Yeah, that we are part of the isolation. Yeah, we are isolating ourselves. But again, I was a little bit saying, okay, it's coming to a discussion now. And then Ellen brought it to the point where she said, actually, even though we isolate ourselves, there is something that helps make us isolate ourselves. And we should look at these things also. Yeah. And I think that could be also part 2 of this series of discussion, because it brings us now to the point, not only fear and powerlessness, but also the hope that Ellen is talking about. What can we do to take this away? Yeah, and for me, I would have loved to bring examples here. The first thing that we talked about before this discussion was the situation happening in North Rhine-Westphalia, the situation happening in Thüringen, what is happening in Berlin and in Brandenburg. For me, there was one thing that was clear. LM said, we have to be clear with our positions when we meet new people. Tell them how difficult or how easy or how we can work together. At the same time, we are giving them the possibilities to decide, because there is a Willkommenskultur. I will come back to it. And this Willkommenskultur has empowered some of the people that are around us, yeah, to offer also an easier alternative that is going to actually, like LM said, in 3-4 years, they would come back and say, I still don't understand what is going on. Yeah, but in the beginning, this alternative is there. So I would like us to think about this to talk in our next series. I hope that the 3 of you would be there. And I also hope that others will join this discussion, because I think what LM also said at the end, we have to learn how to communicate, to break this isolation in a different type of way, because the state is also using Corona and other measures to actually isolate us in a way that we never knew before. Yeah, so I hope this should be a beginning in what we are doing. I don't think it's a beginning of our engagements, but it's a beginning of trying a different strategy using 26 years of experience and beyond. I mean, experience in the voice, but we've all been experienced in different ways, 30, 40 years in different fights and different struggles from where we come, and also in solidarity with other struggles elsewhere. So I think I would end here for now, but thanking you guys for taking this time, for going deep into such a discussion. I know it might be boring at one time if you cannot follow as a new person or as a young refugee or migrant in this network. But again, like our brother Marwan said, if people could listen, that when he first met Osaren, he got some explanation, he got some papers to read. Yeah, 26 years ago, we had no homepage. 26 years ago, we didn't have flyers. We have information everywhere now about the voice. So if some brothers and sisters are really interested, they could go to our homepage, they could Google or search us in the search engines, search engines that are there. The Caravan for the Rights of Refugees. We have even, what did we do actually in 2007? We made this, it's not a memorandum of understanding, but we had something that we're discussing on for a long time.
Manifesto.
Thank you. We had our manifesto. Yeah. So this is still in internet also. We have different things. So we cannot say anymore that we don't know where the engagements are. We cannot say anymore that we were not informed. Definitely, we ourselves have to do more. But like Brother Marwan said, we've got this introduction. We can get inside. And hopefully, those who will be joining us, those who will be listening to us, those who are interested, can also dig deeper and not wait that we come and approach them personally. Definitely, if you want our contacts, you would also find on our home pages, you will also find on our Facebook pages. We are everywhere, and we can work together with genuine solidarity and genuine transparency. So I thank you very much again for the time you've taken. And yeah, I will give Aras the last word, or I will give you guys time to say your last words.
I don't want to say a last word because there's never a last word. Just a request. Let us define maybe the next meeting a little bit earlier.
Okay.
I think we had phoned together, and I told people that it's tonight, but because I didn't send the link before, maybe some of them, like Shu and others, were not available.
Yeah.
So maybe we could phone together or tomorrow in Bolo to find a date, and then we could invite even more people and send it even around if wish, if it's your wish. So more people could participate. And the question is maybe as well, sorry when I talk too much.
No,
this
it's
is
fine.
as well part of Corona, because we haven't such a deep exchange as well. Maybe we could find a way as well to see, okay, each time maybe 3-4 persons can contribute more, and more people can listen if they want to.
Yeah.
If they have questions, they can put the question in the chat room here, and then at the end we could give 10 minutes for the main, let's say, questions. So then we could make public such meetings, you know? And so let us think maybe tomorrow to the day after tomorrow, have a short telephone call and decide how we continue.
Okay.
This is my request. I give to my neighbor.
Ich will nur einfach sagen, dass es total schön war und den Bruder Merwan kennenzulernen und schön dich zu sehen, Bruder. Danke.
Danke auch, Elem, danke. Marwan, you have the floor.
Yeah, just that I was a little bit at the beginning of the meeting. I was a little bit lost because it's my first time maybe of following maybe a normal meeting like that, and we were talking about past tense, and I was not present in past tense.
Yeah.
I was trying to follow up normally, but yeah, maybe next time I will be more prepared, because I have also to learn to see how really it works. That's why I was more silent, to understand, maybe to come inside of the discussion, to feel free, because I'm having maybe, you know, for example, first time maybe visualize is not so easy. I have to learn how to do it. Usually maybe I'll come inside.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Like Ira said, definitely we are going to try to prepare for such a discussion again a lot more earlier, to give people the room and the time to assess their time, but also to prepare themselves for whatever thing they want to voice out.
And I think maybe it will be good, maybe next time you should maybe send all the information that someone should prepare himself also to know really what is going on.
Yeah.
Because if you just maybe ask some question, maybe someone to think about it, it will maybe take time. Yeah, maybe if possible, you can maybe send with the link with all information, what we can discuss about, then someone already know that this is what is going on or what will go on, then someone can prepare on it.
Okay.
Yeah, with more details.
Thank you very much for your proposals.
Yeah.
And we stay in contact and talk more about arranging something for next time together.
Okay.
Okay. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much.